wonderful New York welcome. Thank you guys so much. We are live from New York with Edwards Life Sciences in conversation with Monty Mythen. Thank you all for joining us. We are here at the top of the Royalton Hotel at the Ivy Room in downtown, or wait, not downtown Manhattan, right? Midtown Manhattan. Again, thank you for joining us. I'm Desiree Chappell. I'm going to be your host for this evening, and it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for this evening, my friend, my colleague, Professor Monty Mythen. Come on up, Monty. Give him the round of applause. Well, you're also involved with this organization, the Perioperative Quality Initiative,
or POQI.
Or POQI, that's right.
Affectionately known.
Yeah,
so a group of us, I won't name them now, you can look it up online, www.poqi.org, put together this set of individuals where we pull together people from around the world to put together guidelines, and I think we're going to talk about some of the consensus statements later. We've done 6 of them so far. Most of them are published so far, so the first 15 manuscripts are out. The most recent ones are about opioid addiction in the context of major surgery. And the great thing about it is all of the infographics that come from POQI are available open source online on the website. So anything you want to get is you go into poqi.org and you'll find all of those great infographics that are then put into the papers. And I say that they're published so far in Perioperative Medicine, Anesthesia and Analgesia, and as we'll come back to the British Journal of Anesthesia.
That's right, that's exciting. I'd love to hear more about that organization because what they provide for free open access is fantastic.
Now, when we looked at enhanced recovery adoption in the UK, when we looked at cardiac surgery, we saw very little variation in length of stay in the UK. Now, the reason we think that happens is that we have relatively few. We're a small country first, where the land mass is only the same size as North Carolina. We have relatively few hospitals overall, and we have very few cardiac centres because we've centralised it. So we only have big cardiac centres. And almost everyone in the cardiac centres has been trained by each other. So they do cardiac surgery one way. You can walk into pretty much any place and it's done the same way. And when we looked at their length of stay, there was almost no variation and it was very short. So they were already in the UK practicing what looked like enhanced recovery. So we left them alone. Now, interestingly, they've now looped back to say, yeah, we're doing well, but we could do better. Now, it seems in the USA, there's enormous variation in outcomes from cardiac surgery, length of stay and practice, because there are very, very, very many more centres. And because of the size of the country, which is really the size of a continent, you don't seem to have that same standardisation of delivery of practice. So I think the Enhanced Recovery After Cardiac Surgery group, who've just produced this wonderful guideline, have got a handle on that and are making tremendous inroads into improving outcomes from cardiac surgery.
Again, we want to make sure that if you do have any questions, if you are not in the room, please join us on slido.com, #NYC Live. And if you're here in the room, you can use Slido, but we also, please ask a question. We just want to make sure that you have a microphone in your hand before you do that. So, hi Monty, it's Aubrey from Alabama, Birmingham.
Aubrey,
hello,
hi, how are
Aubrey.
you?
Hi, and everybody there. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, next question. How does a patient...
Where's Alabama?
Oh, that you're so hilarious.
Okay, I know where Birmingham is, but...
Yeah, Birmingham, not UK. How does a patient learn more about enhanced recovery when making a decision about where to have surgery?
Well, I think there's quite a lot of... There is a lot of information available on the internet. So although a lot of it comes out of the United Kingdom and elsewhere in the world, there's increasingly a large amount from the United States of America. So if you go into a search engine, of which I believe Google is a popular one, for example, and you put enhanced recovery in, and you go to the video section, you'll get quite a lot of patient-facing videos, including patient stories about enhanced recovery.
There's a great Lego one.
There is a great Lego.
There literally is a great Lego one about enhanced recovery.
You have your 3 milestones that you're treating now. You start with volume, and I think it's important to understand, the manifestation of hypovolemia. And I understand you personally have bled yourself nearly to death to demonstrate how this actually manifests. And I think it would be, I feel this is ERAS 2, but it might be great for you to talk a little bit about your S1 and how we, by the time you have a low blood pressure, there are a lot of other things happening.
So absolutely. So by the time, I think one of the things that we were mistaught in our clinical training was this idea that as you become hypovolemic, it's very detectable by things like heart rate changes and blood pressure changes. And as you allude to, I was one of 6 volunteers a number of years ago now, we'll gloss over how many, who underwent a 25% elective hemorrhage to look at how hemodynamics change with hemorrhage. And heart rate doesn't change and blood pressure doesn't change. Now blood pressure changes a little bit more readily if you're anesthetized, but heart rate does not go up as a result of the hemorrhage. So that's a flawed assumption. Hypovolemia is extremely difficult to detect. So at the moment, it seems to be the only safe thing we can do is to keep people slightly hypervolemic for fear of hypovolemia. And the best way to do that, it would appear, for the intermediate and high-risk cases is just to continue to optimize stroke volume. And if you don't do that, there's no way you can know whether the patient is got an adequate volume status. And if they don't have an adequate volume status and you start a vasopressor, you can cause serious harm. You shut down, in particular, your splanchnic organs, and you can cause potentially very serious harm. You can rob Peter to pay Paul. So VQP, volume, flow, pressure.
Thank you guys very much for hanging. Thank you.